All right, guys, so I've got a requested video for tonight. A lot of folks have been asking me, hey, I'm new to laser engraving. I want to make some Christmas ornaments with my machine, but I don't know where to start. So tonight, what we're going to do, guys, is I'm going to walk you through the process of making some pretty simple, nothing too serious, nothing too over the top Christmas ornaments. But I'm also, just for you guys that maybe don't want to take the time to design them, or maybe you just don't feel comfortable yet, I'll try to upload them to my Etsy shop so you can download the files if you choose. But the object here, guys, is to kind of help teach you how to go about designing your own files. But this is kind of where I'm starting. This was a prototype that I came up with a few days ago where you can have like a countdown to Christmas. Make this into an ornament. You can customize it with whatever text. This was just some random stuff I threw together, just kind of tested the design to see if it worked. So one thing we're going to do tonight is we're going to redo this with a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a adjustments to some of the things that I've seen about it that I don't like. And we're also going to build a couple of just simple, generic ornaments so that you guys can, give them to family, friends, whatever, or put them on your entree. So if that's something you're into, stick around, and we're going to be operating off the computer for the majority of the video. So let's get started. All right, as you know, I prefer to do my designing in Lightburn. To me, it's just easier because I've gotten so used to using Lightburn. We're going to push back on this update to 1.7.03 just because I don't want to have any issues while I'm trying to do this video. For this video, we will be using the Hurricane CO2 as the machine to cut these. So even though the machine is off, I'm going to go ahead and select that profile so that as I lay the pieces out, they will fit here in the workspace. So what we're going to look at doing today, guys, is making this little ornament. And I'm going to just basically, really fast, we're going to show you how this ornament, the main outline goes together. So, of course, you got to have a circle. Now, depending on how big you want your ornaments, that's the size that I would recommend you making your circle. Typically speaking, around 3 inches is going to be plenty for most ornaments and stuff like that. So that's going to be ballpark. That's going to be somewhere around 75 millimeters. In Lightburn, I run metric system in Lightburn just because it's easier with the machines. So the actual round part down here, we're going to make that 75. I'm going to lock the aspect ratio, just leave that guy sitting there. Now, that shape is going to be the basis for a lot of different parts. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to slide this over here to the side, because in this one that I have that we're trying to remake, it's actually 3 layers. And so I'm going to need this again for the back layer of this design. And you'll see why I went ahead and duplicated it here in a minute, because I'm going to mess this one up by changing it to fit the different design. So in order to make this look like a Christmas ball, you kind of need to have that square, rounded-ish little design here, or little piece on the top. So I'm going to create myself a little square. Just make it kind of proportionate to the ball that I've created. And I'm going to try to get it to, get it to that Christmas ball-ish look there. So I'm going to select both of those shapes. You can do that by dragging from left to right, doing it that way. Or you can click one of them, hold Control, and click the other one. And that'll select both of them. Then you're going to go up here to this little button right here. And you can align them vertically centered. If you pay attention when you're doing these things, you can also use these little hotkeys if you want to, which is the Alt Page Up command, to do the same thing. I'm bad to just click. It's just simpler to me. But if you're one of those folks that like using shortcuts, then you can go through here and learn those as you go. So I'm going to hit that, and that's going to align them theoretically, but they were already aligned, so we're good. Now, the next thing is I don't really want these sharp edges on this part of the little Christmas ball. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that box, go down here to the radius. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to change that over to about a 5mm radius, and I'm going to click on those little corners. Now, a little secret here. If you click this box, you'll see it's about a 20mm wide box. So the 5mm is going to basically be the curvature from the corner in this way. So you typically, if this is 20mm, you're typically going to want to do a quarter, like to get this kind of rounded, a quarter of the width will give you that effect. So that's just a kind of a little rule of thumb that I go by when I'm trying to get these really rounded corners. If you do less, and I'll show you here, if you do like, let's say 2.5, which is about an eighth of the width, you're still going to have rounded edges, but it's not going to be the overall shape. It's still going to be more of a rectangle. So in order to do this little Christmas ball thing, I kind of wanted these rounded. And so that's why I went with basically like a quarter round over. It's a quarter of the overall width here, because you have, you'll have the 5, and then you'll have 10 in the middle, and then 5 that way on your size, and that makes up the 20mm across. So just a little tip, makes it easier to get that look you desire. So in order to make all of this into one shape, we're going to go over here. I'm going to click that guy, hold control, and click that guy. There again, you can also drag from right to left, encompassing both lines, or you can drag from right or left to right, or you can drag from right to left and only touch those lines. As long as you select both of them, it really doesn't matter which approach you go. Then you're going to go over here to the Boolean functions, and you're going to join two shapes, which is this one right here, and that's going to make that into this little Christmas ball shape. Now, if you're wanting to put like a hole here, or if you want to come up and make this look like it's kind of a ring for the Christmas ball, you can do so. You can come up here and you could kind of attach this. Let's see, make sure we got that 24 and 24. That's not terrible, but let's do 20 and 20. So we'll do like a 20 and 20 circle. I'm going to bring that down just so it impacts the other circle. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do an inside offset, because this is just a quick way of doing it. Inward, I'm going to do it 5mm and hit OK. So now the way to join all of this together, if you want to do so, is we're going to take and drag across, select both of those. I'm going to group these, and then now all I've got to do is select both of these shapes here and do the same thing and join them together. So now we have that, more Christmas ball-ish appearance here. And so there you go. We got it somewhat going. Maybe my ball might not be quite big enough for the pedestal. I don't know. I mean, it looks a little bigger than what I had expected it to be. Yes, I think that's a little disproportionate. So hang on, let's fix this up. Let me change this to 100, because I think that's a little disproportionate. So we'll change this one to 100. All right, I'm going to duplicate that one. Yeah, I think that's going to be a little better. So we're just going to select both of these. I'm going to align them vertically, and then I'm going to weld them together. Make that ball a little bigger. Yeah, that looks more proportionate. Looks more like what I was wanting it to look. So we're good with that. All right. So there's our basic shape for Christmas designs tonight for the ornament itself. So if you're following along and you're doing this, this is what I would recommend for you doing your Christmas ornaments. This is something that I've started doing, and it's really, really cool. Is I'll go down here and I'm going to start me an art library right here in the bottom left corner. I'm going to hit new. All right, go to a location on your computer to where you know where it is. I have a folder on my shared drive that says libraries. All right, I'm going to name this one Ornaments 2024. All right, and I'm going to hit save. So that's going to create me this art library. So now I can go over here, select this, import, and I can name this ornament shape and hit OK. It's going to bring it over into the library. I can click this one. All right, same thing, import from project, and I can hit back, and that's going to tell me that that's a a back piece, or that's that main circle. So now I have all these little pieces of shape over here on this side of stuff. So that's pretty handy. That way you don't have to go opening files. And if you need just a particular part, and you'll see that we're going to fill this up pretty good before we're done. Like if you wanted to make the countdown one that I showed you when we started here, what you're going to need is you're going to need this main part right here. All right, so we're going to need to put a little window in it to do the little countdown. All right, so I'm going to make me a little window. I'm going to bring it over and I'm going to set it, say, right here. I'm going to hold control, click that, and I'm going to align this up vertically. All right, but I'm also, not only am I going to need that window, but I'm going to need this back piece here, which I'm going to go ahead and click that. I'm going to change it to a tool line just to, well, I can change it to this blue here, be a little easier to see. And I'm going to move it over here. And I'm just going to operate with 2 different colors for now while I'm building so that I can kind of keep track of what's on what layer, because that just kind of lets me know, okay, this is attached to this, is attached to this. So this is going to be, and if you go over here to your cuts and layers, you can actually move like these up and down if you wanted to change where they're located and which one's on top and all that good stuff. But I'm just going to leave it like this for now because this is not the way we're going to leave it. And this would be, the red one would be your outer piece, and then the blue one will be the inner piece. So what I want to do is have the text to where it will rotate through here, and then this little box is going to show it. So what I'm going to do is I want to click this blue line here, use the offset tool, and we're going to come in. Let me see how far I need to come in. About 10. I'm going to come in about 10. And just hit OK. That's going to give me another line. And I'm going to use that line for the text. And I'm going to change that line to a tool line. So now I'm going to come over here with my text tool. And I'm going to click on that line. I'm going to change the font size. And we're just going to type in here. I'm going to go ahead and do 24. Yeah, we'll do 24. And then we're going to go backwards. So 24, 23, 22, 21. You get the idea. All right. So we got our numbers in there. Now, the one thing I can tell you is this text is going to be way too big. So we're going to shrink that down a little bit. Now, what I want to do now is I'm going to move this text, and I want to try to get the text so that it's more or less centered on that little tool line. It just makes lining this up a little easier in my opinion. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to hold control. I'm going to select this inside little tool line that I just made right here. And I'm going to go to tools, apply path to text, and it's going to wrap my text around through there. Now, you'll see I've got a bit of a problem here in that the text is, one, it's overlapping. So we can't have that. When I changed my font size, it makes it a little too small. So we're going to go to the horizontal spacing right here, and I'm just going to tweak that just enough to get it to where I can fit them around through there. Now, still got the problem of my text is upside down. So with that, I'm going to try this and see if this works. If this don't, we can do it a different way. I'm going to select my line, all right, and I'm going to mirror my line. And if you notice, when I mirrored my tool line, that has flipped my text around so that walk with me here and visualize this. As this piece rotates, now all of this text is going to be upright when it's inside this little box right here, no matter which way you go. Now I just need to make sure I've got I want my numbers kind of centered. All right, good enough. I'm going to select that. Radius tool. We did 5 up here. This is a lot smaller, so I'm going to stick with that 2.5. And we're just going to go ahead and round these corners. I think the rounded corners just give it a little bit of a more finished look. All right, so we got that done. So now we've got the 24 and then you can rotate it as you rotate, and we'll do this just to show you. Let me see if I can rotate it this way. All right, so we're just kind of looking and making sure all of our numbers, we can stop on any number and not see another number. That's what I'm looking for. So like we got the 11 right there. It's kind of cutting it close, but it works. This is where we start getting into problems. That's what I was afraid of. So we're going to go, we put like the 22, put it right there. Now let me resize this little box a little bit. Let me get it just big enough. Once I get into the double digits, we should be good. So yeah, look at that. That's working out perfect. As long as the 23s and 24s will fit in there. Yeah, so we're good. There's where we need to leave. We need to be. We need to lock that down. So I'm going to leave that at 24, just so that, you know, gets an idea of what we got going on here. All right, so the 24, all the numbers, all of this stuff, the blue and the numbers, the text and everything, all of that is actually layer 2. So now that we've got everything kind of lined up and figured out, we can move this layer over here. This is going to be layer 2. One thing that we do need to do is we need to take that line right there. That's the outside cut. And I'm going to use the offset tool. And I want to come inward. And what I want to do is I want to come inward enough to where the numbers are basically on their own little piece of material. Now, to do this rotating one, this is your center layer, both of these pieces. Not only the numbers, but this little center layer right here is also one of your pieces, because this piece is going to glue to the back piece and provide a fulcrum for this piece to rotate on. So now we also need to add a little something on here to use to turn the ornament. Now, it's a Christmas ornament, so you can do whatever you want to do with it. I'm going to go with making myself a little circle right here, and I'll do it, we'll do it like 15 by 15. I wanted this part to stay behind here and not interfere with the hanging. My prototype, that's somewhere where I messed up on my prototype, was I had it to where the little hanging string or whatever was interfering with the rotating piece. So I've got all those selected. All 3 of those are selected. Combine them. All right, and I'm just going to drop a little Christmas star up there, or snowflake, on that little piece just to decorate it, because that's technically just a handle for me to be able to rotate the numbers. But I'm just going to put me a little snowflake up there just to decorate it. All right, so now that we got that done, I need to go back to my ornament library that I did, and I'm going to go ahead and select this, import from graphic, and I'm going to name this Countdown Layer 2. All right. This I'm going to name, well, we'll go ahead and add some text to it before I do. So we're going to get our text tool, and I'm going to put days until, let me go to my Christmas folder. Pretty sure I have a Christmas font that was pretty cool. No, I don't guess I do. But I do see my little stars that I like. So we're going to bring those into the work area, because we're going to be using those as a design asset for this as well. So I guess we're just going to do the Christmas. So I'm going to go back to my ornaments folder. All right. We'll change this text here, of course, to an engrave. Move this up here. I'm going to need to bring it up just a little bit. I'm going to change that font to something just generic. So if you get the file, or if you're building your own, you can change it. So there we go, days until, and then Christmas is going to be a much more substantial font. So I'm going to make this bigger. And pull it up here. Take this guy. I want to align both of those. Make this one just a touch bigger. Alright, so now I can select those two. I'm going to group that text together and make sure that it is aligned with my ornament still. There we go. Alright. Now we can bring this over. If we wanted to add like these little stars, and a little trick for these little stars is they're pretty cool because you can, like, I can duplicate these things now. Move these guys over here. Using this mirror tool, I can make it look like it's a total different set of stars or a different design when it's actually the same one. By using that and resizing it, you can kind of get a little variety in your design there. So, you know, I'm just going to drop a couple of those on there, and we'll call that done. All right, so I'm going to select that whole thing, import from project. I'm going to name this Countdown Layer 3. So this is going to be the top layer right here. And we've got that in there. All right, so I got some scrap material. This is the pre-finished plywood. Got it over into the machine so that we can use it. I like this pre-finished stuff. I get it at Rugby Materials. I've got a few videos on it. They're a more or less like a wholesale outlet type place. They sell mostly to businesses, but they do sell to the public, and there happens to be one of their locations here near my house, and that's where I've been getting this material. So for this material, because this stuff is a little hard to cut, but even on the Hurricane, I'm going to go ahead and set this at 7 as my speed, just to be abundantly cautious. The engrave, I'm going to leave that at 300, speed, 75% output, and of course the other two are just tool lines. One thing that you do need to pay attention to, if you right click right here on the little number sign, sort cuts last, you're always going to want to do that, because if not, your pieces are going to get cut, especially if you're using a blade bed like this. A piece could fall or twist or move, and then when it gets engraved, the engrave will be messed up. So these are the 3 pieces for this ornament, and we're going to get these guys. Let me line them up a little closer together, because I do want to kind of save a little bit of my material, but at the same time, I don't really want to have to go over there and frame a whole lot. So we're not going to be exact. So here we go. I'm going to send this over to the machine, and we'll be back in a minute to see what it looks like. All right, guys, as you can see, the pieces turned out really well. This is the pre-finished material. So instead of sanding it or anything, any kind of soot or debris, simply hit it with a little bit of rubbing alcohol, wipe it off with a rag, and it looks marvelous. So, yeah, you can see it just kind of comes off on your fingers. The pre-finished is really awesome for stuff like this. Now, this is only finished on one side. One side of the material is rough. So whenever you're gluing, you kind of want to stick with gluing the rough sides to the rough sides. Because one of the only problems I've had with this material is if you try to glue to that pre-finished side without like doing anything to it, it can have some issues. So what I'm doing there is these 2 pieces are both unfinished, and so they glue together really well. The glue dries quick. I don't have any problems with that. But this next layer, because that right there is pre-finished, I'm going to take my sander and just kind of sand the top of it, scuff that up so that the glue will adhere to it. Because if not, I've had some problems with the glue coming loose. And so we're just going to put the glue right there in the middle. And this is a little pivot part. And what this does is it basically traps that second layer in there and allows it to turn freely, but keeps it nice and neat without any kind of weird, pins or anything having to be put in there. I've seen some designs where you have to put pins in there so that it can hold it together. It's not really necessary. It's just overcomplicating it. All right, guys. So there is the one that we came up with today. Like I said, if you only wanted to do, like, let's say, 12 days till Christmas, 7 days to Christmas, whatever, you could make this little spot a lot bigger. You could also, by in doing so, the letters would be bigger. It would be a lot easier to work out. So you could use this ornament for a lot of other things as well. You could tweak this design. But you can see this is the one my little prototype we did the other day. And improved upon this one a little bit because the little part that you turn is a lot bigger, easier to get your hands on, and so forth. So I like that design better. And I think the snowflake being off to the side of it just, it just kind of fits. So there we go with that one. So let's make the 12 days of Christmas now. Let's get to it. All right, so the first step is going to be to ungroup all of this. All right, then I'm going to go in here and try to select my text. And I'm going to start with right here at the 12. I'm just going to backspace everything out and have 1 through 12 be my letters. And I'm just going to increase the size of these guys. I know they're going to spill over into the surrounding work area, but that's okay. We'll resize everything once I get this dialed in. So 19 is going to be a bit much, maybe 18. All right, so 18 it looks like is going to be the winner for the size of the font. Now I've got to click on the circle that's in the middle there. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to lock it down. Well, I don't know how it got resized, but we're going to change it to 85 by 85 and lock it. And I'm going to bring it down to about 75, pull everything together a little bit to get it inside the ornament. All right, so now it's kind of messed my text up a little. So we're going to have to go back to that, change the text size, squeeze the letters up a little bit. Yeah, I think that was about right where I had it. So about right there. That looks like that's going to be about it for the text size. Click this one here. As you can see, this line needs to come in some because these letters are going to be bigger. So I'm going to change this to, we'll say 60. That ought to get it in there, and it does. So now the only other part that we have to concern ourselves with is this big enough to fit right here with our letters. So I'm going to rotate these letters around to there. And what I want to do on this one is I'm going to go ahead and lock all of this together. I'm going to group it. All right, so let me ungroup this little guy and resize this one little square. I just need to resize and relocate this one square to get it the size that we need for this particular layout. That looks like that got it. All right, so I'm gonna move this over here, regroup this just so we don't move anything. Actually, let's move some of our decor here around. Put that down here in the bottom. Put this little star up here, resize it a little bit. Like I said, because of the way these little stars are, you can move these guys around and do all kinds of cool stuff with them. Now, with this, one thing that I will tell you is you can actually downscale this as long as you select everything. All right. When you go over here, make sure the aspect ratio is locked, and you can pull this and downscale the size of these things. And as long as you do everything at one time, you won't mess up the design. So there you go. We'll leave this one the same size. There you go. Check the machine, make sure our material has room, and we'll get started. Using the Atomstack Hurricane. All right, so I'm going to push those down just a touch. There's a pencil line. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a pencil line on there. It should come off with some alcohol, but just in case. All right, so off to the races, and I'll check back with you guys here shortly. All right, as you can see, another successful burn. A little alcohol, wipe it off. Same drill, guys. Just getting it clean, getting all the little soot there off of it. I do run air assist to protect my lenses, especially with this material. You can just wipe it off. It's really convenient. You don't have to sand anything. Then we're going to glue everything together. Like I said, remember when you're using pre-finished plywood, though, if you have a situation to where the pieces that you're gluing together are finished, you're going to need to scuff that up with a little sandpaper just to ensure you get a good set with your the glue. Because if the material's too slick, which this stuff is, if you don't sand it a little bit, the glue will just pop right off of there before it even gets a chance to hang around long. So yeah, once you get it all snapped together and the glue sets on it, like I said, this is a pretty good glue. This is a Star Bond, and it dries relatively quick, especially when you get it on the rough surface where it can absorb into the wood. But there we go. Got her put together, and we'll look at it again here in a little bit. All right, guys. So for this one, a lot of you guys have asked me about some of my silhouette shapes, names, that type of things that I use for ornaments. So we're going to do a quick rundown on how to design one of those. So the first thing you're going to need is the ornament shape as well as the ornament back. These two pieces right here are all that it takes to come up with a custom little ornament. All right, first step, select this guy here. I'm going to use the offset tool. I'm going to bring a line inward about 5 millimeters. I'm going to hit OK. Well, stand by. Somebody forgot and left delete object on. So there we go. All right, so now we got our 2 lines. All right, these 2 lines right here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to group those guys. All right, so for the name, like if you wanted to do a name of Abby, we're going to take and type the name in here, and I'm going to find a decent font that works. This Hello font works pretty well with stuff like this. It is typically kind of thin. One way that you can fix that is if you will select it and you can go over here to the offset tool. I usually do like a 0.25, do inward and outward, and that will kind of make it a little thicker. You can, like I said, you can play around with that. If you'll delete the previous shapes, it'll give you a little bigger, text. So I don't know why that did that, but we'll go ahead and join those together. And if you change it over to, say, a cut, then you can kind of see what it's going to look like. So the easy thing with these guys is you're going to bring this over. And to be able to like score it or engrave it or whatever and connect it, it's best if you'll take this. Like I'm going to take this line here. I'm going to change that to a score. And so what I want is I want to make sure that I've got this set up in the work area, like in the middle of this ornament, and I as like this little score or an engrave or however you're going to do it. All right, I'm going to select this guy here. Again, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do an outward, and I'm going to change this to like maybe just a millimeter or 2, and then I'm going to hit OK. Now this one, well, wait a minute, somebody forgot to turn off the delete original objects there. So I'm going to turn this one into a cut to go along with this outer ring. So I'm going to click my outer rings here, both of those 2 guys. I'm going to group those together, and then I'm going to click on this other cut here, and I'm going to join those. And when I do, basically that's going to join all these pieces together, and it's going to knock the centers out of this. Like I said, the offset I used may have been a bit excessive. Mike could have went with a little smaller offset on that one. If you want to do a Christmas tree, same approach, guys. Make your Christmas, and if you want to engrave your Christmas tree, you can even leave it like this one is. This one is set to a engrave, so we're going to set that, center it. Same thing. Click on that. Set your offset. With this Christmas tree, I'm probably going to have to step it on up a little bit and do it, yeah, 2 millimeters ought to work. Do it 2 millimeters outward. I'm going to hit OK. Before clicking anything, I'm going to go ahead and hit the cut line down here to change that outside line to a cut. And then, oops. And then all we've got to do now is drag this thing to get it to where it touches on all the sides. Now I'm going to group this up. I'm going to hold control. Just use my little bullseye button to center it. All right, so now I'm going to ungroup these and click that again and fuse it together with the outer band. And there we have the little Christmas tree design. So I'm going to go ahead and hit those over to the machine. Let me update the material. And don't make fun of my material. I'm recycling. We're going to shrink these down just for the purpose of demonstration, so as I can fit them on this material. So we'll get that going and show you what it looks like here in a second. All right, guys, as you can see, both the pieces come out really nice. I'm just going to go ahead and use, I cut the two tops just to show you what it looks like. But I'm just actually going to be using the Christmas tree one to go ahead and glue it together. But they look really nice. The machine done a good job. And so there you go. One more option. All right, guys. So there you have it. A couple of quick designs that you can use to go ahead and use your laser to create Christmas ornaments for the season. No matter how little experience you have, just follow along. Or if you don't want to go through the trouble of designing your own, go grab the files. These are not material specific. I will say though, with this little 12-day countdown, those little edges around the hole, it needs to be a thicker material. If not, there's going to be a risk of breaking there. But like for these little designs here, if you want to use this one or the 24 days, there shouldn't be a problem with that. And you can modify these however you want. But I use 1/4 inch material. It is a little heavier, but you can use acrylic, you can use 1/8 inch material, you can use cardboard, paper, fabric, whatever you want to do. One thing that if you're a crafty person, I will go over some things. You can paint these, you can do whatever you want on these. I know a lot of you guys have, maybe you have fabric, if you're a seamstress or you sew, you can take the back piece of this one, glue some fabric to it, and then put this top layer over the top of the fabric. You can do the same thing with paint. You can paint them after you cut them out and engrave them. You can paint them before you cut them out and engrave them. You can use glitter, the little glitter paints. You can, I mean, you could even go as far as filling that with some type of epoxy or glue or paste or whatever. I mean, there's lots of things that you can do to make these a little more creative. You can mix and match your materials. You could technically take a piece of clear acrylic or another color of acrylic and do one layer with the colored acrylic, one layer with the wood. The possibilities are endless, but these are simple little projects. They're highly customizable. Like I said, typically with these, I would clear coat them afterwards, especially the back of this material because it's not pre-finished. The front is pre-finished, so that's not that big of an issue, except for like with this one where it's been engraved real deep here. That would preserve that and keep it from getting scratched up. But other than that, it is optional, like I said, depending on your material, whether you have to go over them with a clear coat or anything like that. But anyway, guys, I hope you're getting used to your laser, getting some use out of it, having fun with it, making a little money if that's what you're into it for. And as always, if you have any needs for ideas or anything like that, come check out my videos. I have videos on most anything you can think of as it pertains to lasers. And if I don't have the video, send me a message, drop me a comment, and I'll try to help you out with a video that could, maybe give you an idea, inspire you, or help you get over that little hump in the learning curve that is lasers. But if you're in the lasers, guys, you want project ideas or tips, tricks, all that kind of stuff, be sure to catch our live. Like I said, Sunday nights, 7 o'clock p.m., myself and Steve over at Ventari's Workshop, and we hope to see you there. So until next time, guys, be safe and have a good day.